Kris, before the commercial break, we were unpacking a lot of the new debt that each household will carry. Well, let's talk about specifically the Canada Recovery Dividend. Again, it's a one-time 15% tax on banks and life insurers above $1 billion. What do you feel the impact will be in terms of maybe revenue, but also to businesses in general in Canada?
That's a great question. And so as David had pointed out, this will just trickle down. You can't just tax big businesses and hope that that stops there. Those big businesses won't just eat that cost. They pass that cost along down to you and me and the consumer. And so while it might sell well and say we're going to eat the rich or tax the big banks, that always ultimately trickles down to the little guy. And so we're worried that that will increase costs for people when they really can't afford more everyday costs. And we're very concerned that the federal government will just turn around and hand out this money in the form of corporate welfare to corporations that don't need the money. So we really need to get back to basics here.
Right, and we have had a problem provincially and federally in this country with corporate welfare, and something that's definitely very, very controversial. And many are suggesting that that should come to an end. We shouldn't be in that business. Some are saying though we need this one time. It says it's one time. Well, I guess I should ask you, David. Do you think it'll be one time? Do you think they're going to continue it? Any predictions?
I'm not sure if it'll be one time or not. The federal government, doesn't have a particularly good track record of having policies like this remain temporary, which is a problem. The big thing for me is when we talk about the banks, I mean, it's politically popular to go after the banks, but who are the bank's customers? They're people like you and I. Who are the bank's corporate customers? It's your independent grocery store, your local business, your restaurants, like the ripple effect there can't be understated. Is because all of us in some way, shape, or form rely on banking services and investment services, all of those things, and those that cost increase, whether one time or not, is going to be absorbed, whether it be through higher fees and all sorts of other measures that the banks can take to try and navigate through this. And so I'm not sure, despite it being politically popular because the banks are always made out to be the bad guy, I'm not sure that this is a great time to send another ripple through the economy as we've been trying to dig ourselves out of the impact of the pandemic.
Very good point. You're very good point. But, I mentioned that there are a lot of tax or program promises here, or there are a few big ones, namely the dental care program that was announced. Last year we had pharmacare, now we have dental care. So this program is supposed to start with 12-year-olds in 2022 and then expand, so under 12-year-olds, and then expand to under 18-year-olds, seniors, and persons living with disability in 2023. This is going to be an expensive program. Maybe this is where that money is going to be used. I guess, Kris, I'll put it to you. Does Canada need this program? I mean, dental care could be suggested that's healthcare. We do have socialized healthcare here. Should this have been expanded to include dental?
Well, I think we need to ask ourselves the question, how well is our healthcare system working? Do we want to make that our dental care system? Probably not a great idea. Do some folks need coverage for dental care? Absolutely. Is there a smarter way of going about this? Maybe they should try. Instead of trying to do the big government solution of putting in some temporary tax on rich people who will just magnanimously pay for it through their banks, and then handing it out to poor people who need the dental care, that doesn't work. This won't work. We know it won't work. The federal government struggled for years to even get their payroll software working properly for their own employees. So governments don't do a lot of things well, and we're very worried that this could simply become another big wasteful boondoggle and not get the care to the folks who really need it. And so instead, we would like the government to actually sit down with employers, with businesses, with provincial governments, and figure out a way to provide this kind of low-cost care to low-income people.
Well, it's a good point you raised. There already is infrastructure with many corporations which do have private plans. And the threshold is, for families 90,000 or less. That seems pretty high still to me. That was just my initial take on that. David, what do you think? Does Canada, well, we only have about 30 seconds, so we'll start and then we'll continue on after the commercial. But what do you think about that?
I mean, I totally understand the desire to help low-income people cover some of these bills, especially if they're in professions where they don't have that covered. Um, with any number threshold, it's always going to be arbitrary. I mean, the average pre-tax income for a family in Toronto is at about that number. So you're talking half of families in the Toronto area.
Okay, I'm going to pause you
It's
there. We got to cut. We'll be right back.